does have some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers.
What kind of stuff?
Just with girls, sexual and stuff. You know, just them having sex with girls for the able to get out of jail.
And this was Judge who?
Mullins.
We have a major update in this situation out in Kentucky. I made a video about this a couple of weeks ago. This story has everything: murder, scandal, betrayal, and corruption. And this is off the rails at this point. I talked about this before, but let me give you a brief recap before we get into the latest bombshell revelations that makes this situation even messier.
Steins, the sheriff, asked to speak privately to his longtime friend, the judge, District Judge Kevin Mullins, and he cleared everybody out of Judge Mullins' chambers. That's when surveillance video picks up and shows the sheriff making a phone call on his cell phone, but then borrows the judge's phone, does something, after which he pulls out his gun and shoots Mullins 8 times, even after the judge had fallen to the floor.
The framing of this case, and it's going to be first-degree murder. That's what the prosecutors are going after, and the fact that actually the sheriff turned himself in. So we're going to have to ask ourselves, what the hell actually happened in those chambers? While Sheriff Steins is charged with murder, the real question is whether was this a deliberate act or some sort of emotional breakdown. There's some theories, and I'll talk about that later in the video. Was Stein mentally and emotionally stable, or was he pushed to the breaking point?
He and Kevin were really close and good friends. I never saw any hostilities between them. This community sort of gets along with each other.
But just 3 days before the shooting, Steins was deposed in a federal lawsuit, a former inmate accusing him of failing to adequately train and supervise a former deputy who sexually abused her in 2021 in the judge's chamber. The former deputy was sentenced in a criminal case earlier this year after he pleaded guilty to the sex crimes. The civil complaint does not allege the judge was aware or did anything wrong.
So you see right there, these people were friends. So this makes this situation more perplexing, but actually it may bring some answers. So the issue is that it's possible that the judge may have had a relationship with the sheriff's teenage daughter. So when you talk about how can a relationship between two friends and colleagues deteriorate to a point of deadly violence,
sources have confirmed that former Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins did not select his daughter's number from a pre-saved list on District Judge Kevin Mullins' phone when he called her just prior to killing the judge. Both say Steins dialed the number before he shot Mullins multiple times in the judge's chambers behind the Letcher District Courtroom.
So this is the problem. The judge didn't have the number saved as a contact. It may not exonerate the judge from any inappropriate contact with the sheriff's daughter, but it doesn't help the sheriff's case. It doesn't eliminate the possibility that Steins believed something inappropriate was going on. So you see the judge, Kevin Mullins, on paper, he was a respected, upright member of Kentucky justice system. You know, the type of guy that you'll see in courtroom paintings or shaking hands in a campaign photo. And then boom, he finds himself murdered in his chambers. And it's not just any murder. This is the kind of murder that makes your brain short circuit because the guy holding the gun is none other than his friend, the sheriff, the man that's supposed to be upholding the law. But now he is behind bars awaiting trial for killing his friend. So what the hell happened? And this is where things go completely off the rails. So apparently Judge Mullins and Sheriff Steins weren't just friends. They were allegedly partners in a scandal so disgusting that it makes your skin crawl. Imagine this, female inmates in this rural Kentucky jail whispering about how they can get certain favors to get out of trouble. I'm talking about reduced sentences, no ankle monitors, maybe even outright freedom. And apparently these two were at the center of it all. But wait, there's more. Enter Deputy Ben Fields, a guy who took this corruption and took it to the next level. Fields is already in prison for sexual assault, perjury, and a sodomy. So this guy is a piece of crap. But his crimes wasn't isolated. According to allegations, he was part of a system that turned the courtroom into a straight up brothel. Now, this is where it gets really wild, even though at this point, I think it already is. One of the victims, Sabrina Atkins, broke the silence with a lawsuit that blew this thing wide open. She claimed that she was forced into trading sex for leniency because she couldn't afford the weekly cost of her ankle monitor. Let me repeat that. She couldn't pay for the ankle monitor, something the system obviously forces you to wear, and this twisted solution presented to her.
She didn't say that specifically, but for some favors. And that's exactly what ended up happening because she couldn't afford to pay for the ankle bracelet. You have to pay for the ankle bracelet weekly. And those are the allegations in the civil lawsuit that Sheriff Stein should have known or knew about what was happening with Ben Fields. And Sheriff Stein is the big name in that lawsuit. It's the guy that went to prison for the sex for favor scandal. And Deputy Fields was convicted of rape 3, of sodomy, and also of perjury. So the recordings are from his victim. The victim is Sabrina Atkins, and she was interviewed by police about what had happened to her when she was an inmate in Fletcher County in Whitesburg. And that's where Sheriff Stein was working and also where Ben Fields was working. And these recordings, I was listening to them and I just sort of stopped and was like, I'm beginning to see that Sheriff Stein's life was coming apart, like sort of one thing, one block at a time.
This sounds like some dystopian fan fiction, because that's what basically it is. But now let's dive into this latest bombshell, because, you know, this story managed to even get worse. There's auto recordings. Yes, actual recordings that allegedly tied Judge Mullins to these acts. And these tapes are exactly as disturbing as you imagine. In one clip, someone casually mentions tapes of Mullins engaging in sexual acts right in his chambers. The chambers, the literal temple of justice. It's like hearing someone turn the Sistine Chapel into a rave.
He does have some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers.
What kind of stuff?
Just with girls' sexual and stuff.
What describe? Have you seen the videos?
I've seen one partly, just him having sex with girls for to be able to get out of jail.
Who was having sex?
Ben and just some higher ups up there.
Who?
The judge and.
You saw the video?
Yeah.
What did you see on the video? I mean,
I've seen Judge Mullins having sex with a girl.
Who was the girl?
I don't know. Because I don't know a lot of people from over there.
Where was it at?
In his office, in the judge's chambers.
Is that the same place that you were meeting Ben? Is that how you know it was the judge's chambers? And this was Judge who?
Mullins.
And as if that wasn't bad enough, these revelations just didn't stop Mullins. The lawsuit also directly points at Sheriff Steins, claiming he either knew about this whole circus or he was actively participating. Naturally, the sheriff denies everything, saying he had no idea what was going on. But here's the problem. The lawsuit dropped just days before Mullins was murdered. Days. Does that timing seem suspicious? In my opinion, absolutely it does.
That's her saying Judge Mullins was having sex with these people in his chambers, just like the other deputy. This is an allegation only. Will have sex for these release favors.
That's correct. And by the way, the Sheriff Stein denied during his deposition, which was a couple of days before the murder, that he had any idea that any of this was going on.
So here's my thought process. Was Mullins about to flip? Was this murder of an act of desperation? Did the sheriff had this mindset towards it and he's saying, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me? Did he find some kind of guilt for what he was doing or not doing? Maybe he did notice this was happening and didn't do anything about it, or he was participating. Or was this something else entirely? Whatever the case, the timing is too perfect to ignore. Now let's talk about Sabrina Atkins again, because she deserves more attention. This wasn't just about her case. According to her lawsuit, this was an open secret among the inmates. Women were allegedly told outright that sex could buy them freedom or at least a lighter sentence. It's like they turned a courtroom into some twisted reality show where the stakes were people's lives. One lawyer even described the whole operation as running a brothel. A brothel in a courthouse. At this point, nothing can surprise me, but I thought that's even crazier just to say out loud that this is actually happening in an American justice system. But the fallout doesn't stop there. Steins is not only facing murder charges, but also civil rights violations because of this lawsuit. He's the big name, but Fields and other unknown superiors are also on the hook. And let's not forget the recordings that are likely going to play a key role in the trial. It's like every time you think this story can't get worse, it winds up itself in the worst possible way. Well, Stein's trial is coming up and all eyes are on this case. Investigators are going to try to piece together how deep this corruption goes. Was it just Mullins and Stein? Or were there other players in this sick game? And more importantly, how do you even begin to fix something like this? If the allegations are true, this is a systemic corruption issue in this criminal justice system in this area of Kentucky. Because here's the thing, this isn't just about one judge, one sheriff, and one deputy. This is about a system that allowed predators to exploit the powerless for years. This is about the victims who were failed by the very people sworn to protect them. This is about trust in the justice system, which, let's be honest, is on life support right now. We're left with some big questions. What did Mullins know? What was he about to say? And how far will people go to protect their secrets? The truth has a funny way of coming out. No matter how many lies are told, no matter how much power someone has, the truth always finds a way to break through. So yeah, this isn't just about a story about murder. This is about the soul of the justice system and the price we pay when it's corrupted. So we'll be following this story as well. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.